So I read Christodora by Tim Murphy. It's an intergenerational narrative about the traumas and triumphs of the AIDS epidemic in New York City. It's gritty, it's heartbreaking, and it's one of my favorite books of 2016. Millie and Jared, two aspiring artists, are living at the historic Christodora building on the Lower East Side when their lives are forever changed when they adopt a little boy named Mateo. Mateo and Millie bond over their shared artistic sensibilities, and while they're trying to make their family work, unforeseen circumstances and people from their past infringe on their future together. Their building mate Hector, who's one of the foremost activists for HIV and AIDS awareness, becomes somewhat of a friend to Mateo. Hector is a drug addict and he's dealing with the losses he experienced at the height of his activism. So when Mateo goes on a journey of self-discovery, he finds solidarity with Hector as they go on these mind-altering trips by way of heroin to escape the despair of their present reality. As we follow Mateo's journey to recovery with the help of his parents and their friends, secrets are revealed that tie up some unexpected loose ends. And alas, you have a story that is so juicy and so profound and so packed with a history that is told from a perspective of those who may not have won, but they surely survived. What inspired this story?
I think 25 years of living in New York went into this book. And when I moved here, it was also the height of the AIDS crisis in '91, and that did not start to change until effective medications came along in 1996. But there was a lot of aftermath to that crisis that was never really talked about. The sort of emotional, psychological aftermath of it for the survivors. So that story that hadn't really been told much. Was an inspiration for the book. And I think, my own life, my own ups and downs, my own struggles in the city and my own friendships, my own long-standing friendships all went into a book that I wanted to really try to evoke the texture of life in New York, because I kind of feel like the longer you live here, especially the longer you live in a particular neighborhood, the more like a village, a very small town or a village the city becomes. And lives become very interwoven in different ways. So, through the story of this 3 generations of one family who essentially all live in the same building in the East Village, a real building, the Christodora, I wanted to tell this 40-year saga of the city from the early 80s into the near future, kind of through the lens of this one family and everything they go through.
So the novel takes you in and out of the decades between the 1980s and the 2020s, in and out of rehabilitation centers, and in and out of the relationships that make these characters whole but also tear them apart. So it's rather graphic with details of the sex and drug scene that these characters are socialized within. And I found myself intrigued by the social protocol of sex and the ease of drug use in this world, more so than I was judgmental of it. There's a whole lot of sex and there's a whole lot of drugs, but I appreciated that Murphy kept these encounters authentic because it really lends itself to understanding and empathizing with why and how people fall prey to activities that may not be healthy or helpful for them. And ultimately, what we learn through these characters is that they are all just looking for some release and some relief to balance out the chaos of living in New York City. I think Christodora is one of the most engrossing stories I've read this year, and the intricacies are so well crafted that it'll be hard to deny Tim Murphy as one of our most consummate storytellers. What do you want readers to take away from Christodora when they read this incredible novel? What do you hope they leave feeling with?
Oh, wow. Well, I think for one thing, especially for younger, how old are you?
28.
Yeah, I think especially for younger readers like you, I want them to know what happened with AIDS and with activism. That there was an incredible, really horrible thing happened to a vulnerable community, and that they organized and they fought back. And I think also, a lot of people have said that, there's a lot of addiction in the book. And I think a lot of people have said to me, I never particularly had a lot of sympathy for like addicts or like those characters, but I understood those characters in this book and kind of why they went down the path that they did, and then kind of the psychic struggle, like once you're in it, to stop or not.
Yeah.
So I think that, and I mean, I think for New Yorkers, I want them to see the city they love reflected in the book. And I think for people who've never lived here, I want them to see a New York that's full of family, that's full of community,
Sure.
that's full of long-standing ties, that's full of art
Sure.
and activism and, just the city that I've known for 25 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's two big glues that like hold people together, and they're activism and art. I think art has a very plays a big role in the book, in terms of giving people something to live for, basically.
Yeah. You gotta express the human condition.
Well, I hope I did. I tried.
You did. You did. If you've read Christodora, please, please, please share your comments down below. If you haven't read it, then you should definitely pick it up. Let me know what you're reading as well. As 2016 comes to a close, I want to make sure that I haven't missed any great titles. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember to read or be read. See you next week. Bye.